Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking AK-47 and we're going to be considering, is the AK-47 dead? Okay, so now obviously around the world AK is in high use. There's like 50 million of them. The Russians are still producing them. As far as I know, the Chinese still have them. I know they're using other platforms, but they still have AK-47s. You know, for nothing else to sell to other countries. But in the United States, at the point where we can't import them, and now there's restrictions on ammunition imports, I see it as a dying thing. Okay, now obviously I got a bunch of AKs, I got stockpiles of AK ammo, and there's lots of other people in the United States that are in my position, but as far as new people, new gun owners coming into the AK culture, you know, I don't see that happening at a sustainable rate. Okay, as far as I know, the only company that sells affordable AKs is Palmetto State Armory. There might be one or two others. I mean, that if I was to go buy an AK right now, that's where I would go. Now I have lots of Palmetto AR-15s, AR-9s, AR-10s. I've been satisfied with all of them. I can't speak about other things that they sell. Okay, I haven't had experience with other things that they sell. Okay, so I've heard mixed opinions. I've heard mixed opinions on other products, but on ARs, yeah, they've got that figured out. Okay, so that's where I would go if I wanted to get an AK. The problem is that they're like $1,000 plus. Okay, when I got this Romanian one, I mean, I was getting these for $500. Okay, so I was getting these at $500 at a time when ARs were like $1,000 plus, $1,200, $1,300, $1,500. We're talking budget ARs. Okay, so at the time, you know, if I had a choice, $500 AK, you know, $1,200 AR, yeah, absolutely, man. I'm an AK guy. Okay. So I started off as an AK man, okay? I didn't get into ARs until the price came down to $700, okay? That was like, okay, AR, $700, let's try that out, okay? And now things have flipped, because now we got ARs. You can get good budget ones for $500. Your budget AK is like $1,000 and up, okay? That's for a budget AK, okay? So I remember, I mean, there was a time when, when I was getting this one here for $500. Yes, there were AKs out there that would cost $1,000, but those were like the premium ones. Okay, so as far as like new people coming into the gun community, because that's what my focus is, new people. I'm a gun instructor. You know, my goal is to grow the gun community. And what happens is, you know, with new people coming to me for training, I mean, at this point with the newbies, I mean, they're all going straight into ARs. Okay, they're not even thinking about AKs. Occasionally, I'll get somebody that wants to try both of them. You know, I mean, on their own, they usually go towards ARs. The price is a big driver, but when we start talking about using it, right, and have them start going through some drills, that pushes them straight into ARs. First issue is that with ARs, you know, you get yourself an AR, and you know you're ready to put an optic on it. You put a magnifier back here. You can put a light any way you want, right? If you don't like where I got my light, you can put it any way you want on here. You got plenty of room, okay? You know, you want to put flip-up sights, you can put flip-up sights. With my SHTF setup, what I usually do is I put the red dot magnifier. This goes on and off as I need to, okay? And then I'll put a front flip-up sight here and the rear flip-up sight there. It works pretty good for an emergency situation. Keep an Allen key in there. So if I need to move my flip, let's say the red dot goes bad, right? For the emergency, I can use the flip-up sights here and there. And then at my convenience, I can remove the red dot, remove the magnifier, and I can move the flip-up sights wherever I want. Okay, so this is very, very flexible. So you can get this $500, you know, ready to go. With the AK, right, when I got this Romanian one here, right? So when I got this, it did come with the stock, right? It did come with the M4 stock, but there was no place to mount a red dot, so I ended up spending $150 to get the rail system here so that I could put the red dot, okay? So that's an extra $150, and this was, we're going back like, I don't know, maybe 8 years at this point, 5 or 8 years, somewhere between that, I don't remember exactly. I think closer to 8 years. Can you still get it? It's probably not going to be $150. It'll probably be $300 and up, okay? So you got to spend a lot more money to be able to mount a red dot. All right, now you can, as far as the rail mount, because it does have a side mount over here. So if you get the side mount, you put the optic back here, what happens is it sits too high. So I did a video a couple of weeks ago with the AK Vepper where I have a scope mount in the back. You can't, basically I have to put my jaw on the gun in order to line up because it sits high, okay? When I had a red dot on it, same thing. I have to lift, I have to basically jaw the gun instead of cheek it, okay? So that's an issue. AKs are a problem with optics, okay? And shooting is a seeing thing, right? The seeing part is the most important thing. So the gun has to basically be built around that. Where are you going to put your optics? Which is exactly what the AR design is about. Okay, now this didn't start off this way, right? The Vietnam era AR-15s, M16s, they had that carry handle. Okay, they got rid of it. Okay, they got rid of the plastic. They put a rail here. They developed it around the seeing part, right? Around the aiming part, right? The lasers and night lasers and whatever. The gun developed around the seeing part, around how you can accessorize it. And the AK, it's like a struggle to get it to that level. Okay, so look at the AK. So I had to spend, when I did it, I had to spend $150 to put a rail on here. The way this works is the bottom rail clamps onto the barrel, then the top rail screws into the bottom rail, and then the optic goes on top of that. And what happens is, like, it worked great for a couple of thousand rounds. I remember 3, 4, maybe 5,000 rounds. And then at some point it started losing zero because the screws, the clamp on the inside started getting loose, even though I had Loctited it. It did start getting loose. If you do that, use, I think there's a different one, I forget the name of it. There's another one out there that's better for things that get hot. But as far as things getting hot, the optic over the gas tube, here's the thing. When I shoot this, even if you notice over here, I got these plastic covers. When I start shooting this and I'm into like 2 or 3 magazines, basically I'm holding it by these plastic covers. I try not to use gloves because what happens is if this gets to the point where it's too hot to hold, I don't want to keep shooting it because that's going to cook my optic. Okay, so there's that concern with the optic over the gas tube. It's better for aiming. It's better for accuracy. I get like 2-inch groups. Or slightly better at 100 yards with a red dot, and I do get better with the red dot mount, better groups with the red dot mounted here versus the red dot mounted on some type of a side mount. The reason is because the side mounts, they move, they're not great. Okay, so I get better accuracy with this setup here with the optic over the gas tube. It's just that you gotta be careful about how hot you get it. A better thing to do would have been for this Picatinny, or this rear sight here, to be a Picatinny rail, okay? Because then you can move this from here, from away from the gas tube, onto the Picatinny rail over here. That would be a better place. And then if you had a Picatinny rail over the dust cover, you could put a magnifier back there. Magnifier does not need to hold zero. Okay, so you can put a magnifier. You can actually you can extend this a little bit, right? You could have a piece of Picatinny rail here that's solid and actually extends back a little bit, right? So that you can bring your optic a little further back if it's solid enough, right? So maybe the optic can even be over here, connected over the front trunnion, and by bringing it a little further back, what's going to happen is, because obviously the front trunnion gets hot too. But if it comes a little, if the front trunnion extends a little further back, it has a little bit more time to cool. It's not going to get as hot. So these are like very basic, simple upgrades that I don't know why the Russians haven't done. I mean, they got to have people that are smarter than me. I mean, so that's what they should do.
'Cause, 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 'cause,
because they have tried upgrading their AK-47. The Russians have tried upgrading it. It seems like they're really committed to this design. Like I said before, shooting is about seeing. It's a seeing thing. Okay, so the barrel and the optic, in order for it to hold zero, have to be connected. So wherever essentially the optic has to be connected to the barrel. Okay, so if the optic needs to sit back here, we need to essentially like almost extend the barrel back, which is what the AR-15 design does, right? The barrel is connected. Barrel is connected to the upper receiver. So when I have the optic back here, it's almost like it's connected to the barrel. Okay, so what I would recommend to the Russians, okay, if they would listen to me, is start off with a monolithic barrel upper receiver design, and then the bottom can be whatever you want. Okay, which is how the SCAR 17 was developed. Okay, they started off with the barrel and the place to put the optic on the back, and then they built out the bottom. Okay, so I mean the internals of the SCAR bottom, the internals of the SCAR, trigger group, the way the bolt works, all that, it's slightly different, but none of that matters, right? What matters is that the barrel needs to, is up here and your eyes are back here. Optic needs to go someplace in this area, so you need something that's connected from here to the barrel. Okay, that's the starting point of developing a gun, and that's what they did with the SCAR 17 design. That's what I think the Russians should do as well. Now initially, it doesn't have to be an upper and a lower. Okay, the original prototypes of the AR as they were developing it was more of a front and back. The front slid forward. The bolt carrier and the bolt and the buffer weight were not separated. It was one. The bolt carrier, essentially, your buffer weight is your bolt carrier cut in two. Okay, so in the original prototypes, there was the bolt carrier and the buffer weight were one thing. When they went to the upper lower design, that's when they had to split off a section of the bolt carrier because because of the way they were separating the upper and lower, and the buffer weight ended up back here. Okay, so the point is that it doesn't matter where they go with it, where they end up, as long as the barrel and the optics are connected. That's really what it comes down to, and that is the difficulty that the AK-47 is always going to run into. Okay, the fact that this section over here, is not stable enough to put an optic. Okay, you could do the side mount, and by the way, the original AKs that they developed didn't have a side mount. That it was kind of like an afterthought. So they put the side mount here. If you take a side mount, like an optic on top of AK side mount, and you push down on it, you're going to see that it moves. Okay, it doesn't matter how hard I push on this, that's not going to move. Okay, so it's got to be designed in such a way that it doesn't move. Okay, so aside from the optics, and we talked about the optics, the optic part, because that is the most important part, right? But other issues I have with this is, since this area here is mostly unusable, everything gets pushed to the front here. Everything's very crowded up here, right? Because I need a place to put the optic, I need a place to put my hand. Okay, I need a place to put the sling, right? So that's there's a little thing over here, but when I tried putting it there, it was getting like caught up, so I had to put like a 3-slot rail here in order to put the sling. I need a place to put the light. All right, let's talk about the light for a second. If you try to put that light here, and it has to go on that side because my sling is on this side, and if I don't put it on that side, the two are going to get tangled up. So now, if I got this light here, where do I put my hand? Okay, forget for a second I gotta find the place to put a pressure pad, right? Because I can't get to that button up here, right? I can't get to that button there. So I have to attach a pressure pad, which is actually going to make this maybe a little bit longer. And now I got a wire that's coming out from here, so even less space. So where's the pressure pad going to go? And regardless of that, even if there's no pressure pad there, where am I going to put my hand on? So the solution that I have found for this Here's the pistol light. There you go. It goes on and off. It's just I'm getting I'm a little goofy with it right today. There we go. There we go. So this is something that kind of works. Okay. So with this, I can activate like that. Okay. The only issue I have with the pistol light now is that with the switch here, it's really easy to get like an accidental discharge, or accidental light discharge. Okay. Because this is going to get easily hit over here, so that's why I don't like it. With the AR, get away. Because I have so much real estate, I can put that to the front. All right, and now my hand is not crowded, right? So basically I can normally hold this here. If I think I'm gonna be using the light, I can use that over there. If I don't think I'm gonna be using the light, I just get my hand way back here so that I can't, which is my normal spot. You can see where I got the 3-slot rail over here. So there's less of a chance I'm gonna accidentally hit that light. I mean, this isn't the best place. If accidental light discharge was really a concern, I would put this light on the side with a pressure pad up here somewhere. Okay, if accidental light discharge was a concern, if it's not a concern, if it's like a more of like a self-defense type of setup where it's your own house, you could just use this light, it'll work just fine. Okay, so with this setup here, this works good. I got magnifier here, red dot here. I usually put a lot of times I'll put flip-up sights in here, right? So rear sight here, front sight there. For an emergency situation, I get hits out to 100 yards with that setup, right? So for 100 yards, sights, front sight here, rear sight there. And then let's say my optic fails, right? I got the backup sights. At my convenience, I keep an Allen key over here so I can remove the optic, and then I can move my my flip-up sights to wherever I want to move them. Okay, so this is a good parking spot for your flip-up sights. Okay, so with the AK, we're kind of stuck with this, right? That really should have been a Picatinny rail. I mean, we're just stuck with it. But if I had, let's say, a rail dust cover here, right, and let's say rail coming up to here somewhere, I would put rear sight here, front sight over there. On the dust cover, again, even though it's not going to hold, you're not going to get 1 and 2 MOA groups, but you'll get good hits out to 100 yards. So for an emergency setup, that's really good enough. Okay. And the other thing is the magazine, right? With this, it rocks in. So even somebody like me that's very familiar with this will sometimes screw it up. And even other people that say that they're experts with this will sometimes screw it up compared to this, in, out. The chances of screwing this up are a lot less, okay? So these are all reasons. These are all reasons why, like, new people coming into the K hobby are going straight to AR-15s. Basically, it makes no sense for them to spend twice as much money for a budget AK, where they gotta upgrade it, where they're gonna have issues like, with where to put their optics, magazine change issues. Okay. Oh, and then there's the issue of now how you're gonna charge this. So with this, you gotta come over the top here. Charge. That's how I charge it. Some people come underneath the bottom. You got the safety selector issue, where basically this is a pain in the ass. Okay. If you loosen it up, you can loosen it up by lifting it up and folding it in or out. You can make it a little bit looser, a little bit tighter. I mean, over time, you'll get too loose, or you can get too loose or too tight. But it actually works a lot better for the lefty. Because for the lefty, it's a lot easier to charge from here, right? And then they can bring that hands back here and work this like this. So an AK works a lot better for a lefty, actually. With the AR, you know, you're charging it from here, you know, so that'll work lefty or righty. And then you got your safety selector here. You got the ambidextrous one, right? Usually what I do is I get the $35 ones. And what I do is I shave them down a little bit so that when I have my finger straight, it doesn't interfere. Okay. Okay, you can see how that works. Okay. Get this out of the way. So I mean, just simple stuff like this is like, how you gonna do that on an AK? So as far as like, what is the place of an AK? Because obviously I'm not gonna get rid of my AK. Okay, I like my AK. It's a great gun. Okay, it's becoming more and more of a novelty. It's kind of like not quite at the level of like, yeah, there's a big like following for like G3s and FALs and a lot of these other guns in the United States, right? But those are definitely seen as more as like novelty guns. I don't think that there's that many people out there that say that their FAL or their G3 is their go-to gun for SHTF, okay? They usually have something else. They got an AR. Now, AK-47, yes, there's lots of people that still have AKs as their go-to gun, but I think that's going to start becoming less and less as old guys like me start dying off, okay? And what's going to happen is, you know, it's going to be more and more AR guys, you know, unless something like drastically happens with the import laws where we can start getting like $500 and $400 AKs again, okay? So unless something like that, and also cheap ammunition. So unless something like that happens, yeah, I mean, AKs is now becoming more of a novelty thing than like when I got into it. It was like, you know, the reason I got an AK is because I can't afford an AR. You know, I mean, there was, you know, back when I got into it back in the early 2000s, mid 2000s. That's what it was, right? And back then there was also the reliability issue. That ARs were known to be a little bit less reliable than AKs. The issue with ARs was the magazines. The aluminum magazines, like they would get dropped on the feed lips, they would bend. They would bend just a little bit. You couldn't even see the bend, but that would cause feeding problems, nose ups, nose downs. So you couldn't see that the magazines were bent. So once the PMag came along and fixed, the PMag fixed the AR-15, right? Because once the PMag came along, then your magazine was either broken or not broken. Okay, so you know, if the magazine was not broken, you had a very reliable AR-15. Then you had other companies like Lancer. You know, AR-15 became a super reliable platform. So that was the other thing that kind of like, you know, kind of stopped the growth of the AK. Okay? Now, as far as like me, like what do I see the role of an AK? To me, it's anti-material, okay, or lightweight anti-material, because like my ARs are my main go-to guns. I've had them out to 500, 600 yards. It'll do the job. On soft, fleshy things, 5.56 will do the job, okay? For anti-material, my preferred is an AR-10, okay? Because now, you know, that when we say anti-material, we're talking about like stopping a moving vehicle that's trying to charge you down, right? So we're talking like Mad Max Apocalypse there. So against like vehicles charging at you, AR-10 is great. They can be a little bit heavier, right? So the AK, I kind of see this as the lightweight version. So like an AK for me would be ideal if you were doing like a vehicle checkpoint, right? Where there's a chance that somebody might be charging at you with a vehicle. I think I'd still want to have an AR-10. But an AK is going to deliver a little bit more power than the AR-15. So that's where I see the role of the AK. Now you might say, why not a 300 blackout? Okay, so the issue that I have with 300 blackouts is that it is very easy to mix up the 5.56 and 300 blackout ammunition. And if a 300 blackout goes, because you got the same magazines, the cases are about the same. If a 300 blackout goes into a 5.56, you can blow up the gun. Now, it shouldn't chamber, but what happens is the bullet can sometimes get pushed back as you send the bullet home, and in that case it will chamber. Okay, so there's plenty of pictures online of people blowing up their AR-15s with 300 blackouts. I have been at locations where like I've had like two guys shooting side by side AK, this is going back many years now, side by side AK and AR-15, right, going through some drills. Okay, both using steel case ammunition, so it looks the same. Okay, and through the different drills, the AK round accidentally ends up in the AR-15. Not a big deal. It just doesn't chamber, right? It's a much wider case. It tapers more in the back. It will not chamber. We're trying to figure out why the gun's not working, but no catastrophic blow up. Okay, I've had situations where the 5.56 round ended up in the AK. It'll actually fire. Okay, one round will fire, but it won't extract. It won't feed the next round. Again, not a catastrophic failure. If I got a guy, if I'm training like an AR guy and a 300 blackout guy, I want the 300 blackout guy way the fuck down there, right? I don't want two guys side by side. The guy with the 300 blackout, you know, way down there, so that none of his ammunition gets mixed up with this guy. And a lot of times we're doing jamming drills where I'm intentionally jamming the guns and you're clearing the gun out, and what's happening is you got live rounds that are falling on the ground as you're going through this jamming process. Well, no one wants to throw out that ammunition, right? So everybody's going to pick it up and use it again, right? Because it's their ammunition. But if you got the two guys side by side, yeah, you can have, you know, the ammunition go back and forth. That's why I want the 300 blackout guy way down there somewhere, okay? So that's why for me it's like I'm not into 300 blackouts. For me, an AK kind of serves that role, you know, where it's delivering about 1,500 foot-pounds of energy. So for anti-material, anti-vehicle specifically, this would be a better choice. Okay, so that's the role that I see for the AK-47 right now, for an SHTF type of situation. Okay? So let's fire this bad boy out. I haven't fired that in a while, so yeah, it definitely rocks you a little bit more when you start doing the the rapid fire. Like boom, 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 boom. You can feel a little bit more slapping in your cheek. Nothing over here. That's not a big deal, but yeah, you can definitely feel a little bit more slapping in your cheek as you're shooting it. Not something I feel with an AR-15. So you know, another reason why. I mean, I've had plenty of women over the years shoot AK-47s. In most cases, like I'll have them shoot an AK and an AR, and they'll go straight back to the AR. Okay, I'll have women that enjoy shooting the AKs, but they're still better with the AR. Okay, so even the ones that are like super gun ho, that like that, you know, the boom 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 boom, you know, they still, you know, as far as like being able to hit targets at 50 yards, you know, from a standing position, they still do better with the ARs. Okay, so anyway, I felt like sharing that with you guys today. It's for whatever reason it popped up in my head, and you know what, you know, basically is the AK-47 dead? I mean, it's not dead in the sense that I'm gonna have AKs, my kids are gonna have AKs because they're gonna get my AKs. Plenty of other people have AKs. We got plenty of ammo. They're still going to make more ammo, at least domestically. So it's not going to go away, but it is going to become more of a novelty thing, more of a snob thing, maybe. Not that I'm a snob, but a lot of people are going to be snobbish about it. Like, ooh, I got a Romanian AK, you know. But, you know, when I got into it, like Romanian AKs were considered junk. I hear these things get a nice price today. I mean, I don't even know what it is. I wouldn't even consider selling it. You know, I just don't care about that. Now, some people say that they're indestructible. Absolutely not. I've actually, within about 10,000 rounds, I did break the recoil spring. It did break, and that's what I would consider a failure, because the way the recoil spring broke, which was cracked in half, the gun wouldn't work. So yeah, so in combat, you know, it took about 10,000 rounds to get there, but it will happen. By 10,000 rounds, I have usually broken something in an AR-15. Usually either the trigger is going to start seizing up, or something in the bolt carrier group is going to break. So by 10,000 rounds, either gun, you know, something's going to break. I mean, the AKs are not indestructible. You know, I mean, if you, like I said, if you might say, hey, recoil spring, easy to replace. Yes, if you have one. I mean, I do have them, but if you don't have one, the gun's out of commission. Okay, so drop some comments below. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll talk to y'all soon. I decided to do an accuracy test at 100 yards. Now, I think on this AK or one of my others, I don't know which one I did. I have gotten 2 inches at 100 yards. Okay, but the issue is that I'm using a 2M dot, which is basically like the size of my palm. Okay, at 100 yards, right? Trying to center on that. And you know what? At 100 yards without a magnifier, I can't see that dot. So I'm trying to center this as best as I can on the paper, trying to get the equal amount of white on both sides. Okay? So just using the 2M dot, no magnification, I did get. Now I'm going to I took 5 shots. Okay, I mean, I got that one way out there, which opened this thing up to like 6 inches. I'm going to ignore that. I'm going to say that maybe I didn't center correctly, and I'll do what I normally do, which is take the best 4 out of 5, which is 3 inches. Okay, so that's something that I very commonly get with either AKs or ARs. Okay, using a 2M dot only without magnification. Okay, so this could very well be a 1 MOA gun. Okay, it's just that I don't have a way of figuring that out, because there's no way to put a magnifier back here. Okay, and when I did mount the scope with off the side mount, the groups actually opened up even more. Okay, they opened up even more because it's not stable. Like I said earlier, if you push down on it, it moves. So when I tried this with a number of different mounts, a number of different scopes. When I open up when I put the scope on top off of the side mount, even though I can see the bullseye and hold on it better, the groups actually open up even more. So this is the best way to shoot the AK accurately, at least the ones I have tried. It might be the way. I mean, it looks like this. There's no movement on this. It looks like it's very solid. I mean, I know there's guys out there that say they get like they mount the scopes and they get really tight groups. I mean, I don't know if the bracket here is better mounted on theirs. I mean, I don't know. But these are the best groups I get with an AK is just using a red dot, and it's 3 inches, which is not terrible. Okay, let's put it this way. Not that this will get to 1,000 yards and accurately hit anything consistently, but 3 MOA is 30 inches at 1,000 yards. Okay, so at 500 yards, it would be half of that. Okay, it would be about 15 inches. So at 500 yards. So 3 MOA is not terrible. Okay, so that's one of the things that we in the military, I've been told that 3 MOA rifles that shoot 3 MOA are a pass. I mean, I don't know if that's the current standard, but an armorer told me that 3 MOA, even 4 MOA, at least in the past, was a pass. Again, this might have been back when they were just using iron sights. I have no way of knowing that. I don't remember. It was a conversation I had a while ago. But yeah, I thought it'd be interesting to share that. The ammunition was this Red Armor Standard, just because first thing I found. Oh, the brass that I have tried, because I do have some 7.62 by 3.9 brass. The ones that I have tried actually are horrible. The groups open up a lot more, and that's not that's not the fact that I don't have magnification. It's just because if it's consistently shooting worse than what I'm doing here, it's the ammunition. Okay, so the Russian stuff seems to give me the best groups. Tula, I've shot Tula for many years. So the Red Armor Standard and Tula, I have found the best groups. I think the best group I ever got on an AK with a red dot was at 200 yards, and it was I think hold on, I wrote it down. I gotta go look at it. Hold on. Actually, I saved the paper right there. This is a couple of years back, but at 200 yards, it was 3 3/4 inches at 200 yards. So that's just inside of 2 MOA, and that was with the Holosun 403C. Okay, so yes, it is possible to get 2 MOA. You know, if there was a good way to mount a scope, you know, that might come down to 1 MOA. I mean, I don't know, but for the moment, it's not possible. Okay, so hope you guys enjoyed the video. Talk to y'all soon.